Hi, my name is Samantha. Welcome to Safe Haven Sanctuary. I am a trauma expert, self-worth, and intimacy mentor. I use a clinical, spiritual, and energetic lens to heal the body, mind, heart, and soul. This is a space for you to let your walls down, welcome in vulnerability, apply and integrate what resonates, and free yourself from the rest of it. The universe is here to support your deepest dreams, and the only way to meet those dreams fully is by meeting yourself in its full depths and embodying the calling of your soul. Thank you for being here, and let's rise up in our ability to expand and thrive. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here on another episode of Safe Haven Sanctuary. Today, I have the beautiful Laura Neese, who is an ex-nurse turned Bali-based business coach who helps her clients scale to 20K months peacefully and sustainably. I like the peacefully part, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, that
Yes.
really,
We're
that
all
really
about
lands.
peaceful living.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Laura, for being here. Okay, so if you want to I know I gave you a little bit of a mini introduction, but I'd love for people to know exactly about what you do, and then we can get into some of the deeper questions after.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for the intro, Sam. For those of you listening, my name is Laura. I am a Bali-based business coach. I moved to Bali in 2019 after getting fired from my nursing job. I was actually a pediatric oncology and bone marrow transplant nurse for 4 years. But I kind of just hated nursing, to be honest. I just did it because I don't know. I feel like in America, when you're a kid, your parents are just like, pick a major. So I picked nursing
Yeah.
because I felt like it just made the most sense. But the funny thing is, my dad is actually in sales and marketing, and that's kind of where my talent lies. So when I was a nurse, I actually was building so many side hustles. And because I worked
Okay.
night shift, I had a lot of time on my hands to like work
Yeah.
on all these different side hustles. So I was blogging, I was learning Google SEO, I was creating freebies, I was growing an email list. Like I was just buying courses and learning all these things so that by the time I got fired, which I'm pretty sure I manifested or kind of God stepped in
Yeah.
and led me in the correct direction, whatever it is, like I was ready. I had a personal brand and I was like, okay.
You're
So
like,
yeah, I moved to
bye.
Bali. Yeah. Yeah. So that was the best thing that ever happened to me. And yeah, I moved to Bali in 2019 and I have done a lot since then. I've been in the coaching industry for 6 years.
Wow.
I'm a manifester in human design. So I tend to bop around from thing to thing. I have a lot of shiny object syndrome. But my main focus right now is helping coaches with their marketing. I love marketing psychology. I love helping people create content. I love, just teaching all about systems as well. I feel like a lot of my
Yeah.
clients tend to just kind of be more in their feminine, which isn't a bad thing. But when you don't really have any structure or systems or just simple ways to fill your offers and you're kind of just always throwing spaghetti at the wall with things,
Yeah.
I just help people get a game plan going so they know exactly what they need to do every single week to sign clients.
Yeah. Okay, that was such a beautiful intro into like what I really want to talk about too, because you mentioned how a lot of your clients are in their feminine, right? But we need the structure, like we need that masculine part to actually fully be in our divine feminine, right? So was there a point in your business where you were kind of only in your feminine and didn't have that structure? Or were you kind of just like, yeah, I already know what to do?
Yes, I definitely bop from being super masculine to super feminine. I won't lie.
Hmm.
I think the last time I was really in my feminine was in 2021. I feel like that's when it was really trending as well. But that
Yeah.
was all in the bubble bath era where people were like, oh, I just made $100,000 while in the bath. So, yeah, I tried that and it didn't work, sadly.
Yeah. You're so
So
funny.
yeah, now my favorite thing is to help my clients with systems. So and funnels. I love funnels. I love systems. A funnel is really just taking a client from or taking like an ideal client from cold to hot or
Yeah.
leading them to an offer. So I love helping my clients just set up all of these different funnels so that they have at least 4 or 5 different funnels flowing to their main core signature offer.
Okay, awesome. And what kind of clients do you deal with? Like I know you said they're super in your feminine, but like what are some other characteristic traits that they have?
Yeah, I work with all types of clients. Mostly a lot of my clients do intangible things. So I have a
Okay.
lot of relationship clients. It's actually funny. This whole year I've been working with relationship clients.
Like
But I don't
relationship
know if that's
coaching?
just, yeah, relationship
Interesting.
coaching.
Okay.
Yeah, relationship coaches who help people choose themselves in relationships. So maybe they're
Yeah.
already in relationship, or yeah, relationship coaches who are helping people, heal their relationship patterns, heal their trauma so that they can attract healthy love. I work with a lot of those types of clients, but then yeah, really anything, healers, mindset, human design, life coaches. And
Yeah.
then I do work with business coaches here and there, but a lot of coaches I work with do very deep transformational work, and they're really, really good at what they do. One of my one-on-one clients now is also like a feminine energy embodiment mentor. So
Oh, amazing. Well,
yeah.
it's interesting that you've attracted people who are helping people with relationships because actually I was just telling you right before we started recording that there was one story in particular that you posted that caught my attention, and I think it was in regards to your ex. I'll let you tell the story, but you had like written him a letter and you didn't send it, right? And then yeah, you finish the
Mhm.
story. I want to hear it from your perspective because I saw that story and I was like that is wild.
Yeah, and it's crazy that you bring this up because I had a big realization about the situation yesterday, like a mind-blowing aha moment.
No
But
way.
yeah, you got yeah, so for those of you, I mean, you probably don't know, but I was in a relationship for 2 years and I was so obsessed with this man, like I really loved him. And then we
Yeah.
broke up and it took me a long time to get over him because the breakup was just not very nice. Like the way that he did it was a bit immature. And so I was over him as a person, but not over like how the breakup happened. Like I was still a bit
Yeah.
bitter, resentful, angry. And for a long time, I would just replay that scenario of how he did it in my head over and over and over until finally I was like, you know what? Because it had been a year and I was just tired of the situation taking up space in my head. So I was like, I'm going to forgive him and do a forgiveness ceremony and write him a forgiveness letter. So it was really hard, but then I like wrote this letter and I was like, I
Yeah.
forgive you, I forgive you, I forgive you. 24 hours later, his new girlfriend, his new girlfriend messages me on Instagram,
Oh,
and wants to talk. Yeah.
okay.
And like and then I'm not gonna go into all the detail with
Yeah, yeah,
that,
yeah,
but
yeah.
she wanted to talk. I've never spoken to her in my entire life. But I just realized through that experience and through that interaction with her that he hadn't really changed. And it's basically like he's having the same relationship with her. So it gave me a
Interesting.
lot of peace to be able to kind of get over him. And then he ended up in Bali 3 weeks later, and I was scooting on my scooter and I saw him. And yeah, we had a conversation because I hadn't seen him because he broke up with me when he was in another country. So it wasn't like an in
Okay.
person thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, and the crazy thing is, I was reading the book yesterday, Purpose Driven Life, and it was talking about how a lot of people hold on to a lot of resentment and anger instead of forgiving people. And I realized, like, wow, because maybe I finally made the switch in my head that I needed to forgive this person. And
Hmm.
through the forgiveness, it was what kind of gave me that peace to finally let it go and move on. And now I hardly ever think about it.
Wow. That is absolutely amazing. And I think it's crazy too that within like less than 24 hours you saw him, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's really beautiful what you did, like a forgiveness ceremony. Takes a lot of courage and bravery to do that, especially like when you've loved someone so much and they've hurt you so deeply, right? Um, and also too, it says a lot about, I mean, I don't know him, but it kind of says a lot about him if like he's showing up in the same patterns with a different person, that there might be some inner work that he needs to work through, right? Because yeah, like that's a crazy story. But in regards to forgiveness, like let's talk about that. Because coming from, I guess, like a trauma-based perspective, like we hear this all the time online is like forgiveness is everything, right? But like I would love for you to kind of define what forgiveness is to you, just because I know for me, like, I mean, I definitely have a lot of past relationships where I've struggled to forgive, past relationships with exes, family, friends. And what I found to be really helpful for me, yes, was forgiveness, but I think like not in a way of like letting them back into our lives, right? Like really redefining what forgiveness means to you, because I think there's like that misconception of like, okay, well, if we forgive them, we have to like give them access to us, and
Mm-hmm.
they get to be in our life again, and we just like have to pretend like that never happened, right? So yeah, I'm just curious, like, to hear what your perspective of forgiveness is, and if you can enlighten our audience, because I know that there's a lot of people going through breakups who are probably wanting to feel that inner peace, right? And maybe wanting to forgive, but not really knowing how to. So, yeah, I would love to hear your insight on that.
Yeah, I mean, forgiveness is definitely hard, especially if you've been through some sort of betrayal. But at the
Mhm.
end of the day, like people are always doing the best they can with the resources that they have available to them in that
Yeah.
moment. And I think everyone, maybe not everyone is trying their best, but I think most people are trying their best.
Hmm.
And to at the end of the day, like you are the main character of your own movie. So you have to yeah, do things that are going to make you happy and for the greater good of yourself. And sometimes in a relationship, if that other person is like putting themselves first, it's not anything against you. It's like they are living their own life just the same as you, and they're the main character of
Yeah.
their own life. So it's kind of just like realizing, okay, maybe this person isn't a part of my story anymore. And if I keep holding on to that resentment and that anger and that frustration, it's like I'm still pulling them forward and keeping them a part of my story versus maybe you can just now forgive them, kind of set a boundary, do a cord cutting and let them go.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like it gives you that peace to start to create a new story for yourself again. That's kind of how
Hmm.
I think of it.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that. I love the piece about how you said, like, even if that person is putting themselves first, like, that means, like, maybe it's not, they're not supposed to be a part of the rest of your story, right? And I agree with that because, like, I've definitely broken up with people. Like, I'm probably like the quote unquote bad person in someone's story too, right? Doesn't make us bad people, not at all. But what was I gonna say? Yeah, I think that like really redefining what forgiveness means to us, and like even if like what you said, if there's like betrayal, like that's that person's soul work to do. It's funny, I speaking of exes, I had one of mine reach out to me yesterday and was like kind of pretty much asking me like, oh, like, like, why don't you stay in touch with me anymore? And I was just like, I tried for a really long time to stay in touch with you, and it wasn't reciprocated. And like now it's kind of like up to it's kind of up to you if like you want to step up and like be a friend in my life. But right now it's just like I need to put myself first. And I think as women, I don't know if this happened to you, but I mean, I think as women too, like when we're so in love with someone that we just like pour and pour in, and it's so difficult to have that detachment. But when you finally reach that point where you're just like, okay, like I have to focus on myself, I have to focus on other things as well too that are important in my life, and I'll almost like zoom out for a second and be like, okay, like yes, they've hurt me. Yes, all of these things happened. Like you said, like there, a lot of people are really trying their best. I do want to believe that as well too, right? Um, and like the wrong that they've done to you, like that is their soul work to do, right? Like we cannot convince people, nor should we try to. Like we can, like we're not supposed to be in convincing energy anyway. But we we gotta just trust that like that's their soul journey, right? And that we played our part in their soul journey too, which I think is a
Mm-hmm.
gift. I think that that's such a gift too, to be a part of people's soul work. But then sometimes like the contract's up, and we gotta sever cords, like you said. And I want to touch on that too. So you said you cut cords. I know people do this differently, and I'd like to know how you cut cords with people.
Mm. I think it just depends on the situation, but typically I just honestly like to find a little meditation on YouTube or something.
Yeah,
And then it's just you could just close your eyes and kind of envision a cord attached to that person.
yeah,
And then you just have to be really brave. And then just, I don't know, I kind of will hype myself up.
Yeah.
And then I just picture myself cutting the cord and just kind of feel that person drift away
Yeah.
until like the screen is black and then I don't see that person anymore and I don't feel their energy on me and I don't feel them at
Mhm.
all and I just feel myself and I just feel that peace.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I absolutely love that. And I think that it's really important to do cord cutting, especially with past partners, just because we carry so much of their fragments, and like there's certain hooks that are attached and cords, like you said, right? And we have to be able to cleanse our energy in order to like move forward, and not only in our personal life, but in our love life, to make space for the next person that we're supposed to be with. Which leads me
Exactly.
to the next question. So, given like, the whole up and downs that you went through with your past relationship, and, having some challenges around getting over it, now you are in a really beautiful relationship, and I'd love for you to kind of to talk about that from and I'll ask you a question first though. Like, were you looking to find someone, or like did you manifest it? Like, what happened?
Well, I will say, so I live in Bali. Dating here is not it's more difficult, I would say, because there
Okay.
are a lot of tourists who come here, people who are just on
Hmm.
holiday. There's a lot of hot people here, people just looking for a good time.
Yeah.
So you really have to sift through a lot of people to find someone who's actually interested in commitment and interested in, yeah, something that's like deep.
Hmm.
But I will say last year, for the whole of last year, I think because the cord was still attached and I still wasn't over the situation,
Yeah.
I could not get past 2 dates with any guys. Like the pipe was dry last year, okay? The whole 2023.
Yeah.
And then since doing this cord cutting and like letting all that go, yeah, been thriving. I will say like the guy that I'm dating now, we kind of had the what are we talk. It was kind of awkward, but I've been dating him for just like 3 months. It seems
Okay.
like I've been dating him for ages because we literally went to Thailand together and spent every waking second together for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So it felt like we got really close, but I'm still keeping things light and letting him
Okay.
lead,
Yeah.
which is really difficult for me because with my last relationship, it was like he never fully committed to me. So it's kind of like my trauma is I'm scared that a guy's going to
Mm.
waste my time because I am turning 34 next month. So I'm like,
Okay.
I'm kind of scared a guy is going to waste my time. So I want him to claim me and say, like, you're my girlfriend. But
Yeah.
then with the guy that I'm dating, he actually has an opposite trauma where he's scared of commitment because the girl that he committed to for 7 years was like a horrible person.
Oh
Like,
no.
I can't go
Okay.
into all of that
Yeah, no, 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 for sure. I respect that.
because
Yeah.
but it's like I'm kind of dating somebody who we have opposite traumas. So
Yeah.
it's interesting. I really have to learn to trust him and trust that I'm not going to be abandoned because that's my fear is like being abandoned.
Yeah.
And just let the relationship grow. Not force things, like not force the fact that I need to be your girlfriend. I need this, but
Yeah.
it's more just I think letting the relationship grow and grow and grow slowly is
Yeah.
a good thing. Like it's only been a little over 3 months now.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
so things are moving forward, but in a way that I'm trying not to pressure or force
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
and just really trust. But he's like the most communicative person I've ever met, and he exceeds all my expectations times a million. Like there's absolutely nothing
Hmm.
wrong in the relationship whatsoever. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy.
Yeah, and you know what? You said something really interesting, that you guys have opposite traumas. And so, I mean, it's so great that he communicates really well, right? But it sounds like you guys have had really, really deep conversations about, what you guys are feeling towards, not just towards each other, but like in regards to your traumas, because I think that those things really need to be discussed from like the jump, especially when you're trying to get into a serious relationship with someone, right? Like I think it's really important to know people's traumas if you're getting into a relationship with them. So like, how was
Mhm.
that for you guys? And like, I mean, I get it. Like I definitely have abandonment wounds as well too, by the way. You are not alone, girl. But like, how was it like kind of becoming vulnerable again with someone? And
It was hard. It was so hard. Oh my gosh. I remember I was in Thailand and there was like a day where I realized, oh my gosh, I really, really like this person. And I just
yeah.
started crying because I was
Oh,
like, now I'm so vulnerable and I can get my heart broken. And like,
yeah.
that is my worst fear is getting my heart broken because I know how damaged it made me last year. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I'm at a place where I can get my heart broken. And I'm like outside crying at a 7-Eleven. And he's like, why are you crying? And at
Oh,
first I was like, I just have all these feelings. I have so many feelings. And I'm like,
yeah.
I'm starting my period in 2 days. I don't know. I blamed it on my period.
Yeah.
And then, like, the first time I tried to communicate with him how I was feeling, it was so hard. And I know you're supposed to use feminine communication, but
Mhm.
it's just like it never comes out perfect. And I was just
Yeah.
like, I'm feeling really anxious. And he's like, why? And I'm like, I told him about my past with my relationship and how I was starting to really like him.
Mhm.
And I think at first, when I started expressing my feelings to him, I think he kind of, it's not that he pulled back, but he wasn't really sure about it.
Yeah.
But then, like, as we got longer and longer on the trip, like 5 weeks had gone by and I started feeling anxious again because I knew the trip was coming to an end. He's in England now. He has
Oh,
a kid with
wow. Okay.
his first relationship, like long-term 7-year relationship.
Yeah.
So he's with his kid. His kid is so cute, by the way. Oh my God. He like sends me videos and my ovaries start hurting. But I knew
You're so funny.
yeah, I know. But like I knew the trip was coming to an end and I started feeling
Yeah.
anxious again. And so it was so hard for me because I'm a very I wouldn't say I'm an emotional person, but I feel really deep. And
Yeah.
so yeah, like I had to start learning because he started being able to pick up when I started feeling a certain way.
Yeah.
So like sometimes my energy would change and he finally was just like, "Look, if you need to express something, don't feel like it's going to push me away." Because that's my biggest fear and I feel like
Oh my
for all of
God.
us as women, we're
Yeah.
always thinking like, am I going to be too much? If I tell him how I'm feeling,
For sure.
he's going to want to leave. He's going to want to abandon me. So like I had to get really brave. Like I just remember telling myself in my head, like, just be brave and tell him how you're feeling. Just be brave and tell him how you're feeling. So like at the end of the trip, I basically was just like, look, I really like you. And if you go back to England and like go on dates with people, I'm not going to be okay with it. I was
Yeah.
just
Good.
like,
No, but good for you for saying that.
yeah. Yeah. And then
Yeah.
he just did his broy little, oh, well, I'm going to be really busy. So I'm not going to have time to go on dates anyways. And I'm just like, yeah, okay, whatever.
You're
And
like,
then I
whatever.
was like,
You like me so much.
yeah, yeah. It was just like it ended up being such a bro conversation because then I was just kind of like, okay, well, I guess I'll stay loyal to you then when I'm back in Bali. And he's like, well, you can do what you want, but it would be a bad look on you because I'm coming back. And I was just like, okay, so this was like such a bro way to say like we're exclusive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those conversations are so awkward though. And like I know that you always want the guy to lead, but I think it's
Hmm.
also good to kind of check in with the relationship like,
Oh,
at the end of
for
the month or
sure.
at the end like 3 months, I think it's okay to kind of just kind of state a boundary and say, "Hey, this is how I'm feeling. How are you
Yeah.
feeling?" But those conversations are so scary because with my last relationship, whenever I would have those conversations, he would push me away and pull back.
Yeah.
So I was like so scared that that's what would happen here. But I didn't. So everything is good. He like video called me yesterday. It was super
Aw.
cute.
Well,
So yeah,
I like what he said around like, hey, if there's something that you need to express, like it's not gonna push me away like that. To me, like that is something that someone in their divine masculine says, like, hey, like
yeah,
I can handle big emotions. I'm not gonna leave because you're feeling something deep, right? And like, guys feel deeply too. Like that's the thing. Guys feel deeply too. They just don't know how to express it sometimes.
yeah,
Which they're learning.
yeah,
We're here for it. They're learning.
yeah.
But also
But I was so
too,
glad he said that.
oh, for sure. Because like,
I think he could tell that I was like freaking out inside. Like he was just like, I can tell this girl wants to tell me
Yeah.
something and she's freaking out.
And that
And I,
shows that he
yeah.
cares about you too, right? Like, because if he didn't care, like he would have been like, okay, whatever. Like, not concerned with your
Yeah.
emotions, but he was concerned about your emotions.
Yeah, and I have learned because I have bought feminine energy programs, all the things, and I've
Yeah.
actually learned that that is where your self-worth comes from as a woman is when you're able to express your needs and express your feelings to a guy. Well, not
To,
just to anyone, but like to a guy in general.
yeah, to the
And then they
masculine,
they
yeah.
learn to value your feelings and they learn that your emotions and your feelings are important.
Yeah.
Um so yeah, like I used to be so afraid to express my feelings and all of that
Mm-hmm.
to guys. Like I'm like, they can't
Yeah.
know.
I can't know. No, and good
Yeah.
for you. Like I'm really proud of you for doing that just because it is like a really brave thing to do and it's hard and yeah, sometimes it's awkward. But I mean, I think that that's what builds like a proper foundation in intimacy, like having those hard, like sweaty palm conversations, right? And you said something too, like, as much as you want him to lead, like I think that there needs to be a balance of both like the feminine and the masculine leading, right? And like
Mm-hmm.
being in your divine feminine, like that means like you're not suppressing it. Like you didn't suppress it. You spoke your truth, girl. You spoke your truth. He held your
Yeah.
truth, in the best way that he could. And like you said, he's really communicative. That's
Mm-hmm.
awesome. And I know, like,
Exactly.
I think like everybody comes with, I don't want to, I guess, for lack of better words, like their baggage, right? Like, so it sounds like you guys are both being really patient with each other around, the traumas that you're facing, right? The past
Yeah.
traumas, I should say.
I
Sorry.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think both of us have had very tumultuous pasts when it comes to relationships. Like
Yeah.
I don't think he's dated the best of people in the past and like I haven't as well. And I think
Yeah.
this is like for both of us the first really healthy relationship that both of us have been in. So it's
Yeah.
interesting for me because yeah, I'm kind of used to guys who are more hot and cold and like
Yeah.
feeling all these intense emotions for a guy and being obsessed with a guy. And right now
Yeah.
with him, I feel so safe, calm,
Yeah.
peaceful. Like I just feel happy. Like I just feel good. But it's not those intense feelings that you get when you're with someone
Yeah.
who's a bit toxic.
For sure.
And I wonder
Yeah.
if he feels that about me. He
Oh, I'm
probably does.
sure. I'm sure he does, right? Like, and like those intense feelings are like those shots of like dopamine. Like
Hmm.
I saw a post today too around that, but it's like those shots of dopamine where it's like, you don't have something, then you get like your fix, and then you have it, and it's like, oh shit, like it's like an addiction sometimes. You know what I mean? Like it is very similar to that.
Hmm.
But I can only imagine too, with like you and your person right now, that your nervous systems are probably like, what the fuck is going on? Like this feels safe. And do you ever get that feeling of like, okay, when is like the other shoe gonna drop?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm waiting for it because with my last relationship, we would do long distance. And
Hmm.
every time we did long distance, because he was in Australia, I was in Bali,
Okay.
like he would end up breaking up with me. And so now I'm doing long distance with this new guy. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, like, what's gonna happen? But I know too that because we were basically, when we were in Thailand together, we spent every waking second of the day together and we only had
Hmm.
one scooter. So we were gymming together, we were eating together, we were working
Yeah.
together. We just spent the whole time together. So it's nice that we have space now to kind of do our own thing and getting back into our own routine and our own
Hmm.
energy. And I do know that men fall in love through space.
For sure.
So
Yeah.
it'll just be interesting to see kind of because he's coming back to Bali in like 5, 6 weeks. So it'll just be
Okay.
interesting to see what space does for us, which I think
Hmm.
it's a good thing for sure. But
Yeah.
still a little nervous, but I'm
Of
not too nervous
course. Yeah.
actually. It's gonna be fine. Like we've been talking every day. It's chill.
Yeah, no, good. And I think too, like, I think it's interesting that you guys spent so much time together and like doing everything together every waking second of the day because that a lot of people don't get to experience that early on in the relationship. It's usually like, after a few months or a year where they're like, okay, like let's take a trip together. And then like shit sometimes blows up because like when you go on vacation with someone or when you live with someone, it's like you really get to know them.
right? And so you
Mm-hmm.
guys kind of just like got that out of the way.
Yeah, and it worked really well. Like we never got
Yeah.
into any fights. We never really got annoyed of each other.
Yeah.
He is a Taurus and I'm a Libra.
Mhm.
I know everything there is to know about Taurus men now. I am an expert. I highly recommend them. They're the best.
You're so funny. I think I've dated a Taurus before. Yeah. They're all right. They're all right. They're not too bad.
Yeah, like he's this really successful business guy.
Okay.
Uh so if you think of other Tauruses, David Beckham is a Taurus, really
Mm.
hardworking, makes it look easy, but loves luxury and designer things.
Yeah.
Same with Samantha from Sex and the City is also a
Yeah.
Taurus. Like, she's always like slaying her PR job, loves the finer things in life.
Yeah.
And that's him as well. Like just makes work look really effortless and easy, but with that Venus energy, like
Yeah.
loves the finer things in life. And I'm a
Hmm.
Libra who's also ruled by Venus. So I also like nice
Oh.
things. But I'm air. So my head is always la 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 in the clouds.
Yeah.
And then he's very grounding, which is nice for me. So I'm never grounded.
But
So
you
I
know,
think it's a good combo.
I think it's a good combo too, and I think it's good that you guys have each other to balance each other out, right? Because sometimes when there's like too much air and too much ground like in one person, like things can like be like super chaotic, right? So
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Um, so I know too, I'm gonna go back to thank you so much for sharing all your dating life with us. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
And no, thank you for being vulnerable. I appreciate it. Um, okay, so in your business, I know that you talk a lot about like mindset work as well too, like self-concept work. I would love for you to share that and like if you could relate it to business and like and also too like how it has reflected in your relationship with yourself and like your romantic relationship as well too. Because I
Mm.
think all of those are
Yeah.
so much linked together, like our business, our relationship with ourselves and our love life too, right? Like I think all of those are somehow interconnected in some way. But yeah, I'll let you kind of expand on that.
Yeah, it's so funny because after this podcast interview, I was going to create a new like daily self-talk rampage. So
Mm-hmm.
basically what I do is I go on the voice memos app on my phone and I just spit out a rampage of a lot of I am statements and I have
Mm-hmm.
statements, not necessarily I want statements because that means you don't have it and it's like a longing and
Yeah.
you want it. But I'll say like I'll get into my phone and I'll say something like, I am so freaking happy because I just had the most effortless 20K month. My programs are selling like hotcakes. I have so many leads in my DMs.
Yeah.
My body is slaying. I like
Your
am in
body
my
is
little god.
slaying, by the way.
Yeah.
By the
Like
way.
I will just rampage. I'll be like, I'm so in love with life. Like, I have this and I'm doing this, and my life is a movie. And I will just like make these rampages. And then what I'll do is I will play them. Like, I'll go into GarageBand or like iMovies or whatever, and I'll make it a 15-minute track or a 10-minute
Mhm.
track. I'll add some meditation music on the back
Yeah.
end. And then I will, yeah, just play it 3 times a day until it
Okay.
really starts to sink in. But what I found is identity work is it's definitely something you need to be consistent with. It's
Oh
like
yeah.
it's really hard. Like change is hard, and it's hard to change how you view yourself. And I think it's really hard to change how others view you as well.
Hmm.
Um, so, for example, sometimes like one of the limiting beliefs I have is that like girls don't like me, and that just comes from a lifetime of like
Hmm.
being bullied when I was younger. And
Yeah.
so your self concept is essentially like your I am statements, like I am healthy, I am funny, I am kind,
Yeah.
I'm a procrastinator. Like you can have limiting self-talk and positive self-talk, but then it's also like what other people think about you and how you think other people perceive you. So I could
Hmm.
think other people see me as a leader, other people see me as funny, other people see me as XYZ. And
Yeah.
so your self concept dictates like the actions that you take in your life. Because if you have this self concept of like, I'm a procrastinator, your subconscious mind always wants to prove you right. So you're going to take your subconscious mind is going to take like actions that in turn confirm that I am in
Exactly.
fact a procrastinator.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like you have to change the I am statements about yourself in order to kind of manifest the things you want, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So kind of thinking about like let's say for example, the thing you want to attract into your life is like more money in your business, like a $10,000, $20,000 a month, something like that. Then it's like, okay, what I am statements does that version of myself who makes 20K a month think about herself? So it would be something like, you know, I'm an action taker. I'm great with communication. I'm really good at creating content. Like my clients love my content and eat it up. My
Mhm.
clients get really great results. It's like coming up with a list of all of the things that version of you would think about herself, and also to what other people would think of her, and then kind of programming your mindset around that. But it definitely doesn't happen overnight. I would say like 30 to 60 days.
Yeah.
I actually like to do 40 days. I think 40 days is a really great number. But yeah, it's effort for sure. Like I think a lot of people don't change just because they get into these little rituals and then they only do them for like 3, 4 days and then nothing happens and then they quit.
Yeah. Exactly.
But
Yeah.
really, I would say it takes like 30 to 60 days for your external reality to shift once you start shifting your
Mhm.
internal. So once you start doing the work, expect things to start shifting over the next 30, 60 days, like not right away.
Yeah. No, and I think that that's really good advice because I think like in the online space, we're just seeing so much of like this like overnight successes, and they happen. I get it. Like I've seen it happen too for myself and with other people, but I feel like when it comes to our identity, that like yeah, like it really does take work and devotion and commitment to ourselves. And I hate to say this, but I don't think that there's many people who are actually like self-committed, you know? And I've been in those
Mm.
places too. Like I'm speaking for myself as well too, because before in the past, I would find myself doing things for 3 or 4 days and being like, what the fuck? Like, why isn't this working yet? You know? And it's like now, it's like you have choices. Like you can either stay in that, like you can just stay in that, or like you can actually make that commitment and show up for yourself and create a new reality, right? Like, why would you want to stay in your old reality that you feel like you're suffering in? And again, it is hard work. I get it, but I feel like it's it's the easier decision to stay in like the old reality, but it's also the harder decision too because it's harder to like stay suffering, you know? So but yeah, I love that. I use belief tracks as well too. I have that in like my confidence course, but I also have my own that I record as well too. And there's something. Have you heard of affirmations?
What is it? I don't
As
think I have.
affirmations. So
No.
with the subconscious mind too, when you ask it questions, like it immediately wants to like give you an answer, right? So affirmations, it's almost like the same thing as the affirmations, but you would replace the beginning with like why am I making so much money this month, or why am I so happy? Like why is my life so fucking amazing? And so the subconscious mind actually wants to answer that, and it will look for evidence to answer that in your life. Um,
I love that.
yeah,
Yeah. I think I was intuitively doing that when I was making my
yeah,
rampages, because in my rampages I would say things like, why is my life so amazing? Why is it so easy to make
yeah,
so much money? Like all these
yeah,
things. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. I love that so, so much. Yeah. Okay. I feel like we need to do a part two just because I feel like there's so much that we could talk about. But before we go, I would love for you to share your offers and where people can find you. I'm gonna leave it in the show notes as well. But yeah, like what are you offering right now? What is alive in you that you're passionate about helping people with, and how can people work with you?
Yeah. So I have a free resource studio. I've been doing free marketing trainings every single Thursday since the beginning of January. So I have a studio where I house all the training. So I'll send you the link for that and you guys can
Okay.
just hop into the studio. I also have a Facebook group. So I stream the live trainings into the Facebook group as well. So lots of free marketing trainings for you. And then I actually recently just launched this little $27 mini course. It is amazing. It's called Conversation to Conversion, and it's perfect for you if your audience feels a little sleepy or dead or ghosty and they're not really engaging, and you really want to just wake your audience up and get lots of comments on your posts, get lots of people in your DMs, and learn what messaging and what words and phrases work really well with your audience that get them to take action and say yes. And then from there, inside of the mini course, I do some trainings in regards to like, okay, they're in my DMs and they're asking for links to things, but what now? Like, how do I make them a paying client?
Yeah.
So then I teach like how to flow like a DM conversation, how to get people on a call, and how to make the sale. So it's a really great mini course. It's just $27. So I'll send you the link for that as well. And then
Okay.
I have high ticket offers like that include my entire like 3-phase framework. I call it my soft girl marketing framework. So if you're somebody who like you have a hard time staying accountable, or you don't have a game plan or way to stay consistent in your business, and you're always just throwing spaghetti at the wall, my 3-month program, Soft Girl Marketing, is essentially a program where I help you stack your cash and get to 20K months through giving you 3 to 5 really simple systems to flow clients to your signature offer on a weekly basis. So it's all really simple. It's all low tech. But if you're someone who doesn't have a lot of structure in your business and you're just kind of flailing about, it just gives you exactly what you need to do every week to sign clients into your offer. It's the best. So that's my higher ticket offer. But yeah, that's what I have.
Yeah, your
Yeah.
higher ticket offer sounds amazing just because like I feel like even myself as an entrepreneur, like earlier on when I first started, I was feeling like, fuck, like this feels complicated, and it just doesn't have to be that complicated. It really doesn't. Like I just feel like simplicity is like the best way to go. So it sounds like that's your high ticket offer is what that's all about.
Yeah.
Peaceful
very
20K
simple.
months.
Woo. Yeah. Simplicity. That was my word of the year last year.
Simplicity, eh?
Yeah.
Nice. Which I know you said you grew up in America. Which part of the States are you from?
Ohio.
Oh, Ohio. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, Laura, thank you so much for being on the podcast and for sharing your story. I would love to have you on again, and I will leave all your links in the show notes. Guys, follow her. She's amazing. I've been following her. And yeah, we'll catch you guys on the next episode. Thank you.
Bye.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. It means so much to me that we got to spend time together today. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at safehavensanctuary_. And if this episode resonated with you, it would mean the absolute world to me if you would share it with someone who you think it might resonate with as well. Or better yet, you could take a screenshot of this episode and share it to your story, tag me in it, just so we can bring more awareness to the podcast, and this will help the podcast to grow as well too. I appreciate all your support. I appreciate you listening, and I love you. Thank you for being here with me. Your presence, your time, your heart, your soul is so deeply valued here. I'll see you on the next episode.